Welcome to the Employer Content Marketing Pod. I'm your host, Chris LeCand Harwood. In this episode, I had a great chat about Gen Z and TikTok with Shelley Chudder from Fanbytes. They know both subjects inside and out, and we cover some great examples of how brands are using TikTok and how early career marketing can leverage the platform that's been taking the world by storm. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're listening. In this episode, I wanted to talk about TikTok. It was the world's second most downloaded app in 2019, just behind WhatsApp, and it regularly topped the app to download charts. Recently, there was a 23% rise in average viewing time between January and March, according to analyst Sensor Tower. So there's clearly been a big impact on lockdown here in terms of people wanting to be entertained and to entertain others. And as is known, it's widely, massively popular with Gen Z, and TikTok's own numbers said that 69% of users are between 16 and 24 years old. So we're not going to go into huge amounts of detail about defining Gen Z, but Gen Z are the school kids, they're the school leavers, they're college students, they're at university, and God forbid, they're actually now entering the workforce. So it's really important to understand them and how they use TikTok if you're in early careers marketing. So that's why I'm super happy to have Shelley Chudder here from Fanbytes join me today. Hi, Shelley, how's it going?
Hi, yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So what part of the country are you calling in from?
I'm calling from London. Should be in Jamaica right now, but
Oh wow, really?
sun's shining for me. I know, but it's fine. At least the sun's out. Getting my tan on still.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the spirit. Yeah, it's seems like we're in week 60 of the lockdown, but I think everyone's starting to find their routine now. But yeah, it's good to chat with you. Thanks for joining.
No, thanks for having me.
Right. Well, what I wanted to start off with is just you can tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about Fanbytes.
Yeah, sure. Well, currently I'm the content and SEO manager at Fanbytes. I've been doing content for, I think it's around 2.5 years now. But I guess I've always sort of had a keen interest in sort of all things social media and writing content, that sort of thing. I think so much that I remember starting my personal blog account on WordPress and on Instagram during university. Yeah, so that was good fun. But I started to get more and more sort of invested in, like taking pictures and building an online profile. And but I think after a few years, I just realized that I was actually more interested in sort of the behind the scenes in the influencer marketing space and the inner workings of that. And I guess, that kind of led me to Fanbytes. And Fanbytes ultimately an influencer marketing agency. We specialize in TikTok mostly, Snapchat, Instagram, and AR lenses as well. It was, started in 2016, I believe. Just do a rough description about Fanbytes. So our mission is basically to help brands win the hearts of Gen Z. I think we realized that was a bit of a disconnect between brands and Gen Z, and I guess we like to think ourselves as the bridge between the two.
What was that disconnect then?
Yeah, I think it's more to do with the fact that brands still are quite guilty of like putting millennials and Gen Z under the same umbrella. And I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes any brand, any marketer can make. Millennials were born from I think 1980 to 1995, and Gen Z are sort of onwards, so 1996 to 2015, and then Gen Alpha are next. But obviously that's quite a big difference already in terms of age. And Gen Z are known as the digital natives. They didn't really know a time about technology, whereas millennials still did. Gen Z had iPads and online streaming and various smart home technologies, and millennials had Snake on their Nokias and pay-as-you-go credit.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I still remember that was, honestly, I used to steal my mum's phone and play that for God knows how long. And then they had pay-as-you-go credit for a till and so on. And I think it's these type of experience that kind of shape a generation. And I just think a lot of brands don't really see it through that lens, and I think it's so important that that they do. And I could go on and on about the differences. So like Gen Z are sort of more pragmatic. They grew up during a recession, and millennials are, I guess, they grew up during an economic boom, so they're more idealistic. And Gen Z look for innovation, and I guess are less trusting. And millennials are sort of quite accustomed to more of an Instagram sort of lifestyle, and want brands more to make them look good. So it's just knowing these sort of differences and understanding them that really can really help in terms of like building your own marketing strategy. And we're at Fanbytes, we're trying to make brands see that and help them to build a really strong marketing strategy for Gen Z.
Yeah, I think often hear millennials talked about, and I think, wait a minute, are they actually talking about Gen Z here? I think it just goes to show how, is this thing about, okay, we've got to head around millennials, and then all of a sudden the next generation comes in. It just shows how things change so quickly, and how important it is to keep up to speed with what's going on now, as opposed to what was going on 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. So that's a challenge for marketers, but it's an important one to get sorted, basically. So TikTok, I mean, you guys are doing a lot around TikTok, and seeing some great insights that you've been sharing on LinkedIn about TikTok, and there'll be listeners will most likely know about TikTok or heard about it. They may use it themselves, particularly since the lockdown. But they may not be like 100% clear about what TikTok is about. So how would you describe TikTok to the uninitiated?
So just a simple definition, I guess, would go as far as saying it's a short form video sharing social networking app. I like to see it more as like a bite-sized version of YouTube. It's frequently referred to as Gen Z's favorite app, has around 800 million monthly active users. But I think, especially in its earlier days, I guess it was described more as like Gen Z's primary music discovery platform. We've seen a lot of artists and their songs become overnight sensations purely from TikTok. Take Old Town Road and Lil Nas X, for example. Lizzo, that song Roxanne by Arizona Zervas. The list goes on. There's just a lot of artists became super popular just from having their song on TikTok. And so, music is always going to be a massive part of the app, but it's not its only function. So it's also an app where users can create memes and dance in their living rooms, perform, comedy skits, and participate in various viral challenges. And it's a super creative platform as well, because they have a massive selection of AR filters, effects, transitions. Personally, for me, I love using it because I'm super interested in like video editing, and I haven't done a lot of it, and it's something that I'm really interested in. And being on TikTok has, sort of made me seem like I'm better at it than I'm not. So it's taking, someone who maybe doesn't have that expertise, and giving them certain tools as well to make them seem a little bit better than they are. So it's sort of helped me with sort of my creativity as well, which is really cool.
That's a good point, actually, because you've pretty much got a mini editing studio in your pocket.
For sure.
I mean, phones have that capability. You can cut edits down, and there are various different apps that do different things. But TikTok, in terms of what you can do within just one app, is just it's pretty amazing. I like that little feature they've now introduced, which is the voiceover feature. I can see that going down particularly well on TikTok.
Yeah, it has actually. I think it's been super helpful recently, actually, in terms of there's been a lot of like cooking videos and that sort of thing. So it's like sort of like a step-by-step how to cook in lockdown, or that sort of thing. So it's definitely been super helpful. And I think, especially with coronavirus going on, I think it's also affected the app in a lot of ways. So the average watch time was increased by 75%, with more people spending more time per video.
Mm.
Even the average time for accounts to grow to 50k or less, purely because there's more users on the platform. And I think average views per video shot up as well. I think it's 70% week on week. So it's just insane actually what how the app has progressed in only a few weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like that's another thing about TikTok as well, is that actually you get growth very, very quickly, don't you? As you say, with those stats you mentioned. I found a lot. TikTok is a great level playing field in a world where increasingly you have to pay for reach. Where actually in TikTok it's kind of just very raw in terms of being able to grow very quickly, and the video views are in the billions, in many cases, which is a great opportunity for, not of course encourages people to get more than their 15 seconds or 15 minutes of fame on social, but it's a great opportunity for brands as well, because they can get reach very, very quickly and get engagement very, very quickly if they do the right thing. Yeah,
for sure. It's like very, very different to Instagram, for example, where it could take even years to build up a decent following, whereas on TikTok you could literally, from a few good pieces of content, you could just skyrocket and gain over maybe 100k followers in just a week. So it's really cool to see.
And what do you think, sort of, because of its popularity with Gen Z, and we've touched on some of this already, I think, but what do you think makes it such a hit with Gen Z?
I think it's just an app that speaks Gen Z's language, to be honest. It doesn't really even have to try. Short, they have a lot of short videos on there. They tend to be no more than 60 seconds. So this appeals to, Gen Z's short attention spans. I think there's a lot of research that indicates that Gen Z's attention spans last only around 8 seconds. So that's definitely an aspect. It also appeals to their visual mindset and their preference for visually oriented social platforms. But on top of that, I think it's also super fast. And by that, I mean it's like fast moving, and there's constantly new trends for users to jump on, and frequently being referred to as like the hub of trending content. A lot of users use TikTok as a way to keep up with what's popular amongst the age group and in popular culture, and to discover new songs. And I think one of the common themes around Gen Z is FOMO, and people don't want to miss out. Like, people don't want to experience the fear of missing out. And I think this is also one of the catalysts for why people navigate to the app, because everything is on there. If your friends are discovering all the new songs and the new trends, and you're not in on that, there's you don't want to be that person who is on the outside. And being on TikTok is sort of being in that insider culture, and that keeping up on top of everything. And I think that is definitely one of the major things. But yeah, and it's also very different to a lot of other social platforms. It's super authentic. Even the algorithm sort of promotes that. It doesn't really favor like polished or aesthetically pleasing content than platforms like Instagram does. It actually works by boosting the most creative and engaging content further, regardless of one's follower count. So with that, like, I think everyone on TikTok is sort of an influencer to some degree. Being goofy and absurd are things you get rewarded for, and it also gives users a chance to show off different skills, ones that you might not be able to do in the same way on other platforms. So whether you want to sing or dance, act, cook, play a sport, anything sort of goes. And I think that's really where the beauty lies.
I think actually that's really reflective of what you mentioned earlier on about the fact that Gen Z have grown up with their mobile phones, and actually, and shooting their own, taking their own photos, filming their own videos. There's this thing about, creating your content feels just a lot more natural to them than it does to other generations. Yeah,
for sure. Like, I personally as well, like, I found it, even though I'm sort of on the cusp, more of a Gen Zennial, if you will, I even found it a little bit uncomfortable filming my first video. Whereas, my little sister, she'd literally spend hours just like dancing in front of a camera, and I'm like, oh, how do you do that? How do you feel so comfortable just, filming yourself and filming your life in that way? She goes, what do you mean? You're being weird, stop it. I was like, okay. It's just, it is actually crazy, the differences between me and my little sister, and 4 years difference. It's just crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I think actually, I mean, you talk about fear of missing out and keeping up with the latest trends. I mean, God, the charts, the music charts have always been a reflection of, a part of the reflection of what's popular. And looking at the official singles chart, you've got Blinding Lights up top there, which is, I mean, I think it came out in November last year, but it's number one for, well, primarily, if not wholeheartedly, because of TikTok.
Yeah.
Didn't you say your dad has been humming that tune or something?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've tried to get my parents several times to participate in on TikTok videos with me. But yeah, that is one that my dad was like, yeah, I'll do that one. That one would be really fun. I think it's not just that as well, but Drake's song Tootsie Slide as well has just been going insane. And I've just been seeing a lot of like people getting their grandparents on there, and their aunties and their older brothers and sisters to join in. And it's just really cool to see actually that it can sort of not impact just one generation. It's actually become sort of cast a wider net now, and a lot of people are sort of jumping on the hype of TikTok, I guess. And it's just been really, really interesting to see. All of us at Fanbytes are just like, wow, this is cool, this is insane. Like it's so nice to see that TikTok is an app that's sort of helping people through this time as well.
Definitely.
A lot of people have said to me like, oh, honestly, it's just the only thing keeping me going at the moment, just being able to watch people just sort of having a good time. It sort of makes things a little bit more fun and less serious, because it does get a lot, I think, in at this time especially.
Yeah, I think some platforms, social platforms over the years have been, in some cases rightly so, been classified as rather narcissistic and also toxic. Twitter's always had a whole litany of problems, haven't they, over the years about the the criticism people can get. But TikTok definitely feels a place where there's a place more for fun than anything else. And actually, I think TikTok has learned from maybe the challenges of other social platforms of growing pains, which is they're very active in terms of things like TikTok tips and are telling people actually not to spend so much time on their phone, God forbid, but actually you need to put your phone down and get outside, and really kind of clamping down on doing what can be done around things like parental controls and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily expect of a youngish app. But I think they probably learnt from the challenges that the social platforms before them have had, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why it's I think that's why it's also going to have sort of more of a longevity as well to maybe other platforms, and partly why people have navigated to TikTok and not maybe other platforms as much. Yeah, for sure.
So at Fanbytes HQ, you're based in East London, and you've got a growing team as well. So what kind of brands do you and the team typically work on?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I think especially at the start, like I said with TikTok, it was more of a music discovery tool than anything. So we do still work with a lot of music clients, and we did work with a lot more music clients back in the day. But we, now we kind of work with all types of brands. So, anyone from Warner Music to Boohoo to Deliveroo to more sort of unusual or unlikely brands such as Department of Education or the ACCA. I think we just believe wholeheartedly that TikTok offers something for everyone, and a lot of brands, regardless of what industry they're in, are starting to wake up to that fact. And I think that's just because they've started to understand that Gen Z aren't the same now as millennials. They've started to sort of understand that difference. That they enjoy the different platforms and have different likes and dislikes, and many have obviously started to realize that TikTok is the best way to tap into them. And they know that we have that knowledge and the understanding of Gen Z, which is crucial. And I think that is because, a lot of us are Gen Z ourselves. So, who better to market to when, when you've got the whole sort of team of Gen Z in office, sort of coming up with the campaigns for you. But I think the main project that we've been working on at the moment is the Bite House. I'm not sure if you've heard.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so there's actually there's a US version called the Hype House, but we're the UK's first TikTok house, filled with 6 of the biggest UK TikTok influencers. Something that we've super excited about, been talking about for a while. And we sort of describe it as a Big Brother meets TikTok. Obviously, Big Brother's not a thing at the moment, so sort of took it into our own hands. So they've been filming every day, been sort of posting on their socials and on YouTube, and just keeping everyone updated for the next 3 months. And I think content has been sort of everything from like set challenges from brand partners to prank videos, daily vlogs. And the reason for this was to respond to a demand. Younger audiences are moving away from linear TV and more towards social, and we think it's more important than ever for programming to be created by Gen Z for Gen Z is how we like to frame it. And it's just been really cool. We've been working with a lot of brand partners as well. One of which is Rise Above. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they're an organisation that sort of help to inform Gen Z 11 to 16-year-olds about the importance of social distancing and staying indoors. And they joined the project to raise widespread awareness of staying indoors during lockdown. And I think this has just been a massive win for us, being able to use our platform to highlight such an important issue and educate young people. So I think TikTokers have been creating really cool videos, daily lockdown routines and how they're sort of keeping entertained and mentally and physically active. So it's definitely a really cool project to be a part of.
That's really good. As I think, going back to the thing we said at the beginning about the disconnect between brands and say Gen Z, you could also argue lots of other audiences is that thing about fundamentally understanding that it's not about just slinging products at people or slinging job ads at people. It's about actually, and this is what part of the title of this podcast is, content marketing, about providing that value to people. And that's not the value of, well, if you buy something off me, you're going to be, it's going to make your life better. It's what kind of content can I give you to inspire you, to inform you and also, entertain you. So that Rise Above example is really nice. I'll put a link to it in the episode description. But that shows actually that, when you take that onto TikTok, it shows that TikTok is music is a big part of it. And, but actually there's also what is becoming even more rising kind of category, which is providing that advice. And the World Health Organization have been heavily involved in TikTok, haven't they? Understandably at this time, getting those messages out there to make sure people are looking after themselves and looking after others.
And TikTok's actually put sort of a link to the World Health Organization on any sort of COVID related videos. So that's been really good as well. I think a lot of social platforms are sort of trying to do what they can now to keep everyone informed, and I just thought that was a good thing that TikTok are doing as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then when we look at the employer marketing space, I mean, back in a few weeks ago, back in February, I think it was, mid-February, we did something together, which is an article for Undercover Recruiter about TikTok during National Apprenticeship Week, because I felt that looking at a time of the year where certainly lots of apprenticeship recruiters are very active during National Apprenticeship Week, understandably, given the title, and given the popularity of TikTok, we wanted to find out what is it that people are doing, employers are doing around apprenticeship content on TikTok. And it was surprising how little content there was out there.
Yeah, there was really small amount of views on the National Apprenticeship Week hashtag. So we used our TikTok analytics tool to sort of analyze the activity around it, and yeah, we found that there was probably, I think, only about maybe 100 views or something super small. But what we found was more interesting, that the engagement was actually quite high. So you know, as the week went by, we saw, I think it was an 18,000% increase in views on the hashtag, which, you know, showed great potential as well. I think people just, especially you know, early employee marketers, maybe just don't realize that there is a potential there to be tapped into. But there definitely is, and I, you know, also remember noting that it was due to the fact that the content on the hashtag wasn't super TikTokable, I guess you could say. You know, it didn't really take advantage of the platform tools and features. It didn't leverage popular songs, and it just wasn't as super fun. It didn't merge well with what is organic and native to TikTok, and I think that was where the issue lies. So there definitely is, we found that there definitely is potential there. I think people just need to wake up to the fact and just sort of understand the platform a bit more, and realize that there is, you know, certain aspects of the platform that can work for them.
Yeah, I think there's a similar challenge that that Snapchat has had, because there's the thing about when you open it up, you don't get the feed, you don't get the news feed, you know, and that's something that a lot of people are used to, especially obviously with Facebook and Twitter. But when it opens up to a different kind of layout, and you know, it's like, well, what do I do with this? So I think that's maybe a bit of a sticking point, or you know, hurdle for brands and marketeers about going, well, what's this all about? This is unrecognized. Well, it doesn't look as recognizable as other platforms, so therefore they don't jump into it as much as they should.
It can be intimidating. I think that's probably the main thing. I think I can definitely identify with that, because I found it intimidating before I even knew what TikTok was a few years back, and I think it probably took me only literally a couple days to actually understand a little bit more about what the app was all about. I think it is just, you know, getting stuck in there and just, you know, experiencing it for yourself is like the best thing that a brand, a marketeer can do, really. Be an active user on the platform and educate yourself, because it's just a shame if it is there and, you know, nothing's being done with it. We just think that's a real shame, which is why we're so glad to, you know, obviously work with so many different brands now, because slowly but surely brands are starting to realize. So yeah.
And you've been thinking about what you guys have been doing, you know, in a world where at the moment there's not a huge amount done in employer marketing on TikTok. The closest thing I've really seen is what you guys did with the ACCA. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so this was actually a really exciting one for us. So they initially came to us to, I think their KPI was to sort of raise their profile amongst Gen Z and just activate a campaign that sort of transcends traditional ad messages. I think they hadn't really, you know, like a lot of, I guess, early employee marketers, hadn't really like dipped their foot into the TikTok pool, and we were sort of that step for them, and their goal was sort of to, you know, change perceptions of accountants from, I guess, you know, dull and boring to more exciting and relevant. And I think this is something that you'd expect to be quite difficult, I think, especially when trying to get that message across to young people. So, you know, because of that as well, we executed, I think, 3 different activations it was for them, but the TikTok one was definitely most notable. So yeah, the outline of the campaign was sort of using influencers. We found that this was probably the best way to tap into the demographic. It's just because it's an audience that is already warmed up in a way. And yeah, just knowing that behind the scenes style content works quite well on the platform. So Washington Post is also an example of a brand, I guess, that does really well at this, and they've been rewarded with, you know, super high engagement on the platform. And a lot of their content is shot in the office with real employees going about their real days. And while this, you know, might sound super mundane and weird and boring, but users on TikTok love it. And I think that's because they get to see a side of a brand you rarely get to see. And obviously, knowing that this works, we did it for ACCA as well. We asked for some engaged and popular creators on TikTok to go to an accounting firm and film some day in the life of an accountant content. And it turned out just amazing, super fun. The influencers videos, I think, garnered around over 1 million views, over I think 180,000 likes, and just received like loads of positive comments around it as well, which is
awesome.
Ideally what we wanted to see, just purely because it was more of a brand awareness campaign.
I think actually, you know, when people are so immersed in the world of early career recruitment, you know, it's the obvious stuff or the simple stuff that I think can sometimes be forgotten about. You know, it's just, you know, the world of work. If you're taking those first steps into it, whether tentatively or confidently, you know, I think there is stuff about what is it really like. So kind of unveiling, you know, the curtain on the world of work, I think is extremely valuable. Even if it can seem such a you know, I suppose small or simple thing that you're showing. It's I think it's extremely valuable to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, you know, with Gen Z, they want to see a brand. They don't want to see, you know, just a product. It goes back to sort of our advertainment approach that we use in Fanbytes. It's like putting sort of the brand, putting the entertainment first and then the product second. And I think with Gen Z finding that sort of content more entertaining, it's always important to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's huge opportunity on TikTok, definitely, and of course on other platforms as well, but particularly TikTok, about, you know, giving that kind of informational, helpful. I mean, helpful and social doesn't seem to go together, you know, but it actually is so true, is to provide some sort of help. And what's happening at the moment with lockdown and what the World Health Organization are doing, and seeing doctors on TikTok providing advice, and they're not all dancing to provide that advice, you know, to songs, you know. So actually, employer brands have a wealth of knowledge and experiences and stories through their employees, and so, you know, that they can share. And so typically what that I found over the years is the things like the graduate brochure or the profile on the website about a graduate trainee or an apprentice, you know, the social media post that has a quote from an employee, is all about fundamentally about giving people a feeling of being in that organization, and TikTok definitely does that to 1,000,000%. So it's I think it is a big opportunity. I kind of imagine what would happen is, you know, the starting point would be, you know, to give trainees some sort of controlled, you know, control over a TikTok account, you know, to actually being given directions, but then be told to go with it. And that's what's happened, you know, with other platforms in the past, with kind of more progressive brands doing that. So I think there's an opportunity there to empower those employees to use TikTok.
Yeah, for sure.
Mainly because they actually know how to use it.
Yeah.
No, well, I'll drop in a link description to I think you got a case study video, haven't you, about ACCA? We did. I'll put that link into the episode description so people can take a look at that and see what you did and how that performed. But it was really nice to see that example, what you guys have been doing there. I think it's a good reference point for people, and they can see, okay, well, you know, I haven't thought about what I can do.
They definitely need to see that. They definitely need to see, you know, someone else take that step and give them the confidence to make the same step.
And what kind of as a last thing, really, what advice would you give anyone in the early careers marketing space? They're thinking about TikTok. They go, okay, I really need to crack on with this and do something.
Yeah.
What would you advise they do to start dipping their toe into TikTok?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, I'd say just stay updated on what surfaces on TikTok. Just spending time on TikTok, and as an interested user, I guess you quickly understand what content does well, what humor Gen Z like, what blows up overnight, and I guess just the likes and dislikes of the target demographic that you're trying to go for. Because I think spending time on TikTok is literally like being able to see in the minds of Gen Z. So I guess for me, even I think using it for work, it became super entertaining, and I just became more and more invested in the platform as a user and less work. And I think just knowing things that are going on the platform day to day just made it so much easier for me as well at my job when I'm writing content pieces, and just speaking to people as well about TikTok. It became a lot more natural, just because I was already on there, and I wanted to see what it was all about. So it's definitely key to be an active user on the platform that you're trying to dominate, for sure. And then I guess just remember that everyone on TikTok is an influencer to some degree as well, just because of TikTok's algorithm, and how I said before, it boosts the most entertaining and creative content. So it doesn't just depend on your follow count. Like we've seen people shoot up from 500 fans to like 50,000 within just a week, just because of that. So there's definitely a real opportunity for organizations to take advantage of this when starting out. Like, don't be scared, just jump in there. And then keep an eye out for popular trends, find ways to jump on them so you can sort of naturally become a part of the community. Things that you would never expect to blow up have just been going crazy. Tiger King, for example, on Netflix, the docu-series. It's crazy, like how much attention that's got just from TikTok. I watched it just because it was on TikTok. I was like, who is this Carol Baskin that everyone's talking about? I need to watch it, because if I don't, then I'm not going to be able to be in with everyone.
Yeah, so true.
Because there's me watching it with my mum and my dad, and they were just like, oh my god, it's crazy. And then after we finished watching it, I showed them all the TikToks. They were literally cracking up, found it so hilarious. And I think all they did was just leverage the caricature nature of the platform. And they just sort of, jumped on a trending song. And now there's literally billions of views on the documentary, hashtags. And I think hundreds and thousands of user-generated content was made because of it. And I guess, that's where the real engagement lies. You're getting people who are literally making content for your show. It's insane.
Netflix is super happy about that, that's for sure.
Oh god,
what have they had to do? Obviously, apart from she spent lots of money making sure that programming is out there, but that's done on their behalf, which is fantastic.
I mean, the marketing was really done for them without them having to lift a finger, which is I guess nice. They're probably their marketing were probably just having champagne and enjoying themselves now. But and I think if you're thinking about what to do for your first video, I guess just make sure that you're taking advantage of TikTok's native tools and features, and I guess just have fun with it. It functions on authenticity, so it's not about the polished aesthetics that platforms like Instagram constantly churns out. It's about being goofy and showing the sides of a brand that people rarely get to see. And I guess that's why our campaign with ACCA did so well. Because it was, just, we didn't overlook anything. We didn't overthink it. We were like, what is something that Gen Z don't really get to see that, we can use to change perceptions? And this, obviously, the day in the life of an accountant was something that did that. And it sounds so simple, but it worked so well and it was so effective. And I guess there's also a lot of things that you should definitely not do as well. And I think it's important to think about that as well when getting on TikTok. And the number one mistake that we see a lot of brands make, even now, is repurposing.
Okay.
So repurposing content is a big no-no. And I think that's purely because TikTok flags low quality content, which repurposed content always tends to be. And I think a lot of marketers see it as being cost effective and really smart, and users on TikTok just don't see it that way. They see it as lazy. They see it as being, unoriginal and uninspiring. And it's important to remember that what works on one platform doesn't work on the other. So a lot of the repurposed content that we see comes from, platforms like Instagram, and they're completely two different ends of the spectrum. That what doesn't work, what works on one doesn't work on the other. So it's so important to remember that. And I think BuzzFeed was super guilty of this. They repurpose a lot of content, and I think you'd expect them to be smashing it considering their reputation on YouTube.
Totally.
Like, they're leaders in their space on YouTube. And I'm a massive fan of the brand myself, but it was just such a letdown and a disappointment seeing how they went about their TikTok profile. I think they repurposed all of their content from YouTube. Literally, most of their content is all from YouTube, and they've not had great engagement. It's been super low. They've not got massive following on TikTok, and I think it is purely because of that. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind. We don't want to see a lot of more brands falling flat on their face because of it.
I found that over the years, so much people talk about native advertising, and it's like, actually, some people see it as, well, native advertising is just positioning an ad amongst the content that sits on a platform, but that's not what it is. It's not a glorified advertorial, or banner ad or video ad. It's something that is native, feels native, and seamless to the platform it's on. So you're absolutely spot on there, I think. And it takes a bit of time, but as long as you're focused in the right way, then actually you can create TikTok content for TikTok. As you say, it's really great that actually it's really great that TikTok's algorithm goes, we're not going to do this because actually our users will get annoyed, and if we don't have our users' faith, then we don't have a business.
And I think that's why TikTok can keep users on there for hours and hours, because their algorithm is so spot on, and you're always going to be laughing and engaged in whatever you're watching, just because it is that's what it's supposed to do.
Typically brands are, they kind of, when all of a sudden advertising is fully accessible on a platform, they go, right, now is the time to do this platform. In terms of there is self-service platform out there for advertising, but it's still in its infancy, isn't it?
No, for sure. But the paid ad platform is still super new, and I think especially if you are quite new to TikTok, it will be super confusing to just get stuck in directly with TikTok on ads. But that's also why we offer a service to do ads as well, just because we know the platform, like the back of our arm. We actually offer this as a service and do ads for brands. But if you are a brand that are trying to do it straight away, it's not. It will definitely be a little bit difficult, just because it's not super sophisticated or where it needs to be right now.
The targeting isn't as granular, certainly far from being granular as it is on say Facebook and Instagram, and pricey as well.
It's super expensive, and I guess it's not where it should be right now. Definitely nowhere near what you'd get on other platforms. So that is definitely something to bear in mind. And I think anyway, TikTok is a place. It's sort of a safe place for Gen Z, and I would always say, like, organic content works best. It definitely works best. I think paid ads is really good if you want to boost maybe an organic post, or just sort of take it to that one step further, but always start off with organic posts and creating your own content. That's definitely where it lies. The success of TikTok lies in, because I think we use paid ads more with we always say influencers and paid ads are a good combo. So we creating content and then maybe turning the organic content into an ad would work, but definitely we always say organic content is the way to go, for sure.
Yeah,
especially with
nice.
TikTok. Yeah.
So really, thinking if someone just downloads the app, downloads
Mhm.
TikTok onto their phone, if they've downloaded it, make sure it's on the front of their screen. They don't have to
Mhm.
swipe 3 or 4 times to get to it, and just take a TikTok 10 minutes every day,
Yeah.
and you'll
Yeah.
probably find yourself doing more than 10 minutes and
I was going to
being
say that.
highly
Yeah.
entertained. But
Essentially
also
try.
you'll start to see how I think quickly start to see how it could be used for your
Mhm.
organization.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. There's so many times throughout the day where I'm on TikTok and I'm like, oh, this would be such a good idea for this type of brand, or
Yeah.
this would work amazing for for a food brand, and I think that has just come from me being active on there. So for sure, yeah, 10 minutes a day. If you can, 10 minutes, I will probably turn into a couple hours, but let's see how it goes.
Excellent. Well, I think that's our time done. But thanks very much, Shell. It's really great to
Cool.
chat with you.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Say enjoy weekend. Make sure you go out and get that sunshine
Oh, I
to
will.
make up for the fact you're not in Jamaica.
Yeah. Oh, trust
Yeah.
me. I think I'm unrecognizable now from the amount of times I've been out tanning.
Oh, brilliant. Well,
But yeah,
well, have
you
a good
too.
one, and thanks very much. Have a
Yeah.
good weekend.
Thank you, Chris.
Cheers. Bye
Take
now.
care. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow or subscribe for the latest episode drops. And don't forget to get in touch if you want to contribute.